All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with another daily update on Bitcoin in the crypto markets. Earlier today, I did do an update on Bitcoin, and as promised, I'm going to cover some of the altcoins that I usually cover now, and I'm just going to give a quick update on Bitcoin. So, a couple hours ago, when we made the video on Bitcoin, we were in this general area here as we were rejecting from the VWAP close. I did say during the video that if we do confirm a rejection from the VWAP close, that I would take out 50% of the long position, and well, I was going to leave my stop, and my stop is now moved to break even, but my stop was still below the pitchfork band. So I pulled 50% out around the 108,200 area, around this area here. Right after the video ended, and my long is still open. I put my stop below the pitchfork band of support, but you can see that we did come down and actually touch that pitchfork band now. We SFP'd earlier today's lows, and we still are in our general area of support of our 12-day range. If we look at this 12-day range, we still are at the point of control area in the pitchfork band. We just came down a little bit lower to grab the liquidity from earlier today's lows and actually touch the pitchfork band of support. So we are seeing a nice little SFP into pitchfork band of support and coming up to the VWAP again. If we do reject from this VWAP right now, then I do expect us to roll over and continue down, possibly all the way to 106.4, where we have the value area low of the range in confluence with our anchored VWAP. We are seeing some nice bull divs on the chart, though. Now, with that one lower low that was just made on the charts, you can see we have lower lows on the price action and potential higher lows on the momentum waves. The only problem is, first, our momentum wave is not confirmed. Money flow on Market Cipher B is still leaving out of the asset, and NAMI did just print on that lower high, rejecting from the VWAP close. NAMI just did print the hidden bear div and confirm the hidden bear div signal on the 1 hour chart. And NAMI, when it does print these hidden bear div signals, they do tend to follow through with continuation of the local trend. Our local trend is the bearish downtrend. And so we might continue lower here with NAMI printing that signal. There is still a possibility we could hold this and break back up. Remember, that next level of take profit that I'm looking at is the value area high, golden pocket. So if we go ahead and pull that now, we have a new golden pocket just a little bit lower based off the new lows, and it is going to be between 108 and 109. That is the area that I'll be looking for the next TP level on Bitcoin if we do break up to that area. And if we lose our point of control, ultimately, I do expect us to, maybe we're going to see a small bounce from this pitchfork band of support or that golden pocket at 107, but I would expect us to eventually roll down to the value area low of the range, which is also where our anchored VWAP and our 786 is down in this green box here, between 104 to 300 and 104 400 or 500, 104 500. Okay, on to Ethereum. Now, guys, Ethereum has been in, let me go ahead and zoom out onto the daily chart. Ethereum has been in this big range, the same as Bitcoin, for about 60 days. Oh, let me turn off some of these levels. Ethereum has been in this bigger range for about 60 days here, since May 9th, May 8th, May 9th, May 10th here, Saturday, May 10th, about 2 months, 58, 59 days. And you can see here on the overall bigger picture of Ethereum. First off, let's go ahead and talk about this ascending channel, this logarithmic ascending channel, which has been the entire momentum of the bull market, bouncing anytime we come to the bottom of this channel, rejecting from the top of the channel. You can see we've been coming down, but this has been our trend for the entire bull market. Now, when we lost that trend to the downside, we expected a lot of follow through to the downside and some aggressive dumping, and we did get that. Since we've lost this bigger logarithmic ascending channel, which has been the bull market trend to the downside, we have not come up for a bearish backtest of that channel yet. And that bearish backtest also happens to be where our macro golden pocket from the cycle highs down to the cycle lows are. And that is a key area of resistance where if we do come up to that $3,000 to $3,100 area, we could expect a potential rejection that would confirm the rejection of the bull market trend, and we might continue to see a bigger flush to the downside, back down to about 1950 or $1,900, or possibly even lower. But for now, for the last 60 days, Ethereum has been ranging within a range. We were holding that range, and you can see that this range is within the pitchfork upper band. So this is a bearish pitchfork pulled from the all-time high, or prior cycle highs, down to your first major low, up to that lower high, or that SFP high. And you can see we chopped around in the upper band for a few weeks, tried to hold it. When we couldn't hold it, we flushed down, held the bottom of the channel for a bit, but once we lost the channel, we flushed down to the lower band, had a nice bounce from the lower band, but overall created a lower high. And then once we created that lower high, we flushed down to the bottom of the pitchfork. Now, the bottom of the pitchfork did give us a nice bullish reaction here, a lot of buying coming in at the bottom. We did find a little bit of resistance the first time we tested the lower band, but overall, we're able to hold a range here and then break above the band, back test the band as support, and then bust straight up to the upper band. Now, once we've been in this upper band, it's just been acting as resistance for almost 2 months now. You can see here, we tried to break above it one time, really came up into a naked monthly point of control and a daily and a weekly level that was up there, rejected, and then fell back within the band. And we've just been chopping around, forming these ranges within these bands, which often happens. And if you guys watch my channel regularly, I talk about how these upper and lower bands do like to form ranges within them, within and around the band, within and around the band. It happens very, very often, and that is what's happening with Ethereum now. So what we can do is focus in on this 60-day range. Let's go ahead and turn that on here. You can see that right now we're hovering right at that point of control. Let's zoom in for the 2-hour chart. If we look at the 60-day range, we are at the point of control of the range, which is also in pretty dang close confluence with that pitchfork upper part of the band. Now, we did try to break above the band over the weekend, or late last week. You can see we broke above it, back tested the band, did make new highs, but after making new highs and grabbing the liquidity of the local highs, we have busted back underneath the band here, bearishly back tested the band on lower time frames, rejected, and came back underneath the point of control. We spent a majority of the weekend under the point of control, busting above it on Sunday, trying to get back above the band again, ultimately creating a lower high, and now we are starting to roll over here. So what I'm looking at very, very locally, from the highs that we made last week, we could look for a potential 3-wave corrective move down, because if we lose this POC, then we can expect a rotation down to the value area low. Well, if we look at a corrective target, a 3-wave corrective target, ABC correction here, and we go from the highs to the lows to the highs, you can see that that 1-to-1 target is going to be lining up right at the value area low of the range at 2440. So that is an area of support that I'm looking at for Ethereum. If we do start to lose and actually break down from this point of control, there is one local level of support before then. And if we take our golden pocket and we go from last Tuesday's lows to Thursday's highs, you can see this golden pocket here is right on top of the anchored VWAP. This anchored VWAP is from the cycle highs, this bull cycle's highs. Now, if we look at last Friday's low, Friday, July 4th, so Friday's lows, you can see that we just very, very slightly front ran the golden pocket. The golden pocket was not hit. So we could see an SFP of last Friday's lows into the 0.65, which is also where your key anchored VWAP is. And that is 2466-ish, 2465, 2466. So this is a potential long that I'm looking for, but I'm not going to be setting a limit order at 2465. What I'm going to be waiting for is a pierce of the level, a bounce from the 0.65 and anchored VWAP, and the second we actually reclaim 2475, then you can enter long on the reclaim. Enter long on the reclaim of that level. Your stop would go below that low, and then at this rate, I'd just be targeting the point of control, because it's going to be in confluence with the top of that pitchfork band, which could continue to reject us, and the point of control could continue to reject us. That's still pretty much a 5-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade, and that alone would be a good scalp long to look for. That is if and only if we SFP last Friday's range lows, then I'll be looking for that long opportunity. But there is a potential possibility that we do not swing fail pattern Friday's lows and that we keep dumping in a bigger three-wave corrective move, coming all the way down to the one-to-one target. And in our ABC correction, a three-wave corrective move, your main targets for that correction are between the 1-to-1 and the 1.236. Well, both of these levels are interesting because our 1-to-1 target is aligning with the range value area low of the past 60 days of price action. But our 1.236 Fibonacci target, you can see here, is going to be aligning with the bottom of the pitchfork band. And if we do reject from the top of the band, then ultimately we could maybe expect a rotation down to the bottom of the band. And then also, if we go ahead and turn on our daily levels, you can see we do have a fresh daily level at 2405 that's in very, very close confluence with that support level. So I would say our local levels of support, and this is going to be a few of them, so bear with me. As traders, we play level to level. If we get the SFP into the golden pocket in the anchored VWAP, then we could look for a long opportunity from the anchored VWAP. This area here. Anchored VWAP, golden pocket, swing fail pattern. And anytime we get a swing failure pattern into a golden pocket, that is a good attempt to look for a long opportunity. SFP. Okay, there's that. And then the next level of support is going to be the value area low in the 1-to-1 at 2440. And then our third level of support is going to be that 1.236 in confluence with the bottom of the pitchfork band, in confluence with the daily at 2405. Now, if we do drop down to 2405, we would be losing the value area low of the range. So we would have to watch for a potential rejection from that value area low and a true breakdown to much, much lower levels here. We'll get to that if that happens. I can make an update tomorrow on that, or if it happens in the next couple days, we can cover that. But locally, I'm looking at 3 levels of interest, and I just showed you guys those 3 levels of interest. Now, to the upside, we do have that fresh daily that just closed earlier today, a few hours ago, at 2570. And if we do take a Fibonacci from today's Sunday's highs to today's lows, you can see our local golden pocket is going to be coming in at that daily level. Let me just turn on golden pocket only. So this is a potential area to look for a short opportunity as well. We would be breaking above the POC, and with us breaking back above the POC, we might shoot up to the value area high. So be very, very careful with this. This is a micro internal level of resistance, but we are in sort of a consolidation here, making overall, we made higher highs, then higher lows, but now we're making lower highs. So there's a potential that we could make lower lows, and this could be just a continuation of a move to continue making lower lows. But if we break above this golden pocket at 2570-ish, then I expect us not only to come take out the highs from Sunday, the weekend highs, but probably to come all the way up to the value area high, which is going to be around 2670. Okay, that's it for Ethereum. Let's go on to Solana. Solana, let's zoom out a bit here onto the 4-hour chart. So for a while, Solana was in this descending channel. You can see we came to the bottom of the channel, bounced from the bottom of the channel, was able to get back above, back within our volume. We're inside the volume profile still, but back above the pitchfork. You can see this blue line here is our pitchfork that I've shown you guys many, many times. It was a bearish pitchfork. Let me actually zoom out and give you guys a better look at this. So let's hide this channel. And this pitchfork was our inside pitchfork that we bounced from the bottom band. We're able to get back above the pitchfork, back test that pitchfork, and come up towards the value area high of our range that goes back to March of 2024. So over a year long. Let me get off some of these levels on the chart. Clean this chart up here. There we go. Okay, we did front run our golden pocket here. I'll go into that later actually. Anyways, we are able to reclaim the bearish pitchfork, flip it to support, come up near value area high, just barely front running value area high. After rejecting value area high, we come down to POC, saw some bounces from POC, but ultimately lost that POC, came down to back with inside the pitchfork to the upper band. But after bouncing from that upper band of support, we were able to get back above the pitchfork. Let's zoom now in here. Get back above the pitchfork to the point of control, flip that pitchfork now to support again and break back above the point of control. And you can see ever since we were able to kind of get back outside of the pitchfork, we are holding that point of control as support here. So overall, our point of control is holding, and as long as we're above the point of control, we can expect ultimately a move up to the value area high, where we did front run the value area high last when was this, in May, at the end of May, so about a month ago. May, June, a month and a half ago. But overall, Solana is consolidating, and you can see our sideways range. Since reclaiming the point of control, we have been in this sideways range. Well, if we look at this sideways range, let me go ahead and hide the larger range. You can see that we are just chopping between the value area high and the value area low. Now, we have lost, this is a little bit of a conundrum because we've lost the lower range value area low, or point of control, and we are between the lower range point of control and the much larger range point of control, which is acting as support around 144. So there's a potential we could consolidate between these 2 points of control, but Solana is going to need to make a decision soon. And I do think overall, Solana is looking more bullish than bearish. We are above the larger point of control, which is the more important factor of the two ranges. But I would like to show you guys this. If we zoom out onto the daily, our daily money flow is coming out pretty aggressive here. And we were seeing those bear divs coming into the top of the value area high of our macro range. So if I turn on our major range here, coming into the value area high of our major range that's over a year long, bear divs on the daily time frame, and money flow has been draining out of the asset as we were confirming those bear divs into the value area high of the range. So if the point of control, let me turn off that smaller range. If the point of control at 144, 145 does not hold, then we can expect a rotation down to the value area low again, which is around $123. And you can see that value area low is going to be in confluence with our pitchfork band that we did front run on the last low. Yeah, and so I would say Solana is still more bullish until we lose 145. If we lose 145, then I expect ultimately a rotation down to 123. If Solana can hold 145 as support for a bit, if we can range here for a bit, hold it as support, we are squeezing tighter and tighter here, and I do think we could see that continuation and a breakup to the upside. And if we break to the upside, there is a level that we'd front run if we to pull a Fibonacci from those highs of the, when was this? In May, to our lows that we made from that dump on June 22nd. This golden pocket here was front run just very, very slightly. You can see here on that wick that we saw a couple weeks ago up on June 30th. That golden pocket was slightly front run because we did reject from the anchored VWAP from the all-time high. You can see this anchored VWAP has been important. We busted above it, held it as support for a couple weeks, but then once we lost it, we flipped it to resistance and then flipped it to resistance again. So this anchored VWAP is in pretty close confluence with this golden pocket, and if we can hold locally, you can see we're squeezing between two anchored VWAPs. The anchored VWAPs from the lows and the anchored VWAPs from the highs, the all-time high in this case. And so I do think Solana is squeezing tighter and tighter together. But if we can hold 145, I expect to move up to SFP, the highs from June 30th, into our golden pocket. Now, if we get the rejection from the golden pocket and the confirmed swing failure pattern, I will be absolutely looking for a potential swing short opportunity where you can, once again, guys, with an SFP, you wait for it to reject from the golden pocket and wait until we lose that level. So in this case, 163.9. Once we lose the level, you can mark it short, and I would be looking to just the point of control as a TP1, 5.4 risk to reward ratio on a short, but a potential short all the way down to the value area low, which would be a 12-to-1 risk reward ratio short, ultimately forming that lower high, rejecting, and then rolling back down, coming to take out your lows of this local range, I guess you should say. The money flow does not look the best on the daily. If we zoom in onto some lower time frames, 4-hour time frame, we were seeing those slight bear divs up into that golden pocket here. And also Nami was confirming those bear divs. And money flow is just, right now we're just consolidating, right? It's a consolidation pattern, whether you want to call this a little triangle that's forming here. We are just squeezing tighter and tighter, and Solana will see a big move soon. Now, based off the daily money flow, I do have to say that it could be to the downside. We could lose this, and I guess it's going to really depend on what Bitcoin does as well. If Bitcoin can hold and start pumping to new all-time highs, Solana will skyrocket and start to pump as well. But if it can't, then Solana is probably going to ultimately dump down, coming back down to $123, where we have the SFP into our value area low and into our pitchfork band. Let's look at some levels that we have on the chart. Monthly levels. Yeah, and our monthly level is also right around that value area low. So this is going to be a major, major level of support here. This is going to be a monthly. Also, let's go ahead and pull a golden pocket. Golden pocket's already been tapped, but let's check this out. Yeah, okay. It is going to be our log golden pocket as well. You can see that log golden pocket is coming in right on the value area low of the range. And so let's add that to it. And the reason we are doing a log golden pocket is because this is a pretty much 100% move to the upside. So if it's 100% move or more to the upside, then you do need to use that log golden pocket. So just to let you guys know, 124 to about 123, 120 is major, major support where potential swing long opportunity will present itself. And then to the upside, we do have that 166 to 164 to 166 potential SFP short. And then if we break above that, I'm going to be looking for the SFP into the value area high at 187 to about 189, 190. Those are the major levels for Solana. Okay, on to Sui. Sui is still consolidating. Let me zoom out here and turn off some of these levels. Okay, Sui is still kind of just ranging. We did have this 5-wave impulse to the upside that completed this Elliott impulse. And after this Elliott impulse completed, we started grinding sideways in this descending channel. Ultimately, we lost the descending channel to the downside. We did come to our spot buy level, our major level of support, and we saw a nice bounce. This was the golden pocket of the entire impulse. If we go ahead and take that golden pocket of the entire impulse, you can see golden pocket. We also had a naked monthly or naked weekly point of control. There was something else in there as well that was down there. Macro value area low of our much, much bigger range. I believe that was it. Let's go ahead and grab that. Value area low shifted up a little bit, but I believe it was. Okay, there was other support down there. Anyways, the got a bounce from our macro golden pocket. After the impulse, we're looking for a potential wave 2 to come down to the golden pocket, and then now a much bigger push to the upside. If we're going to see that, it needs to kick in soon. But we got the bounce from our spot buy area and we are re-entering back within the descending channel. Now, I would like to say this. We have been looking at our golden pocket in confluence with the anchored VWAP. Now, this golden pocket was pulled from the last big daily high or 4-hour high down to the lows. If I can get that on there. Not that guy. Let's see. Maybe that was. Oh, let me turn it off log scale. Okay, so that was our golden pocket of our last big push down in confluence with the anchored VWAP. And we did come up to that anchored VWAP after trying to break above it and flip it to support. We were trying to hold it as support for a while, but once we lost it, we backtested it as resistance, rejected, and now we could expect a higher time frame backtest. If we do reject from our local golden pocket and our bearish backtest on a higher time frame of the anchored VWAP, we could expect to roll down and come down and see a bigger break to the downside. So SUI, unfortunately, it does look like we could continue breaking down at least to the bottom of the channel, which is around 270. And if we look at these higher lows that have been forming, we are forming some liquidity curves here that could really easily be swept. If we take our golden pocket from our higher bounce up to our lower high rejection, you can see that our golden pocket at 257 is going to be a nice sweep of both of our higher low liquidity into that golden pocket. And anytime we see those liquidity sweeps into a golden pocket, that is a nice area of support to look at. Let's turn on some of the levels, naked monthlies. Okay, so there was a naked monthly point of control down there. Naked weekly. Naked dailies. Okay. Yeah, really. So not too much on SUI until we get down to that golden pocket. So that golden pocket, you can see there is a fresh daily at 260 with the golden pocket. And there is one daily at 267 before then. But honestly, I would be looking, if we break the channel to the downside, I would be looking between 260 and 257 for support. The bottom of the channel is going to be coming in around 270. And actually, by the time we grind our way down there, if we continue to kind of bounce, it could be in confluence with the bottom, with our next daily level at 267. But overall, this lower high rejection on SUI, rejecting from the bearish backtest to the anchored VWAP and our lower high golden pocket, that is a more bearish sign that SUI might continue dropping to the downside, or at least dropping to backtest this golden pocket at 257. We were seeing some bear divs on the 4-hour. Higher highs in the price action, lower highs in the momentum waves, lower highs in the momentum waves, and your money flow. I guess money flow wasn't looking too bad when we formed those bear divs, but it is now trying to cross over into the red again. So SUI is looking like it wants to continue dropping to the downside. Gave you guys my levels of interest to the downside. And what I would want to see, if we do bounce from the bottom of the channel or we do bounce from this golden pocket, then we need to start breaking above the midline of the channel, which you can see is where our key lower high liquidity is coming in, and it would be breaking above that anchored VWAP and kind of flipping that anchored VWAP to support. So that is going to be the key to see on some larger time frames for SUI if we want to see it break up to our next level of resistance up between 382 and 391. Let me just shift this over. Naked weekly point of control. We have the range point of control. We have a golden pocket and the macro value area high. Okay, on to, let's see. Say is still just doing its thing, guys. Say's chopping within the descending channel that we've been in for about a week now, or half a week now. But we did lose the value area low of the range, bearishly backtested it. So I do expect Say to come down a little bit more and at least grab the liquidity from the lows that we longed. We longed 2467 a couple weeks ago. Now that we've rejected the bearish backtest of the value area low, I expect to come down and grab the liquidity into our pitchfork midline of support again. But overall, on a larger time frame, if we do zoom out, let me go ahead and turn off these more local levels on SUI. If we do zoom out onto the daily time frame, SUI is still seeing a nice bottoming formation here, whether you want to call this an inverse head and shoulders or a model 2 accumulation. We did bounce from the bottom of the pitchfork, broke above the band, rejected from the midline, back tested the band as support, broke above the midline, and now we are holding that midline. So as long as we don't lose the pitchfork midline, which is the SFP of the lows into the pitchfork midline locally, then we could see continuation up to the upper part of the band, which you can see is where our naked monthly point of control and the swing failure pattern of our highs into our naked monthly point of control and into our pitchfork band around 34 cents, 33.5 to 34 cents. So I will be looking for a long of the SFP. Let me zoom in here. I will be looking for a long of the SFP of those lows at 24.57 into about 24.40, where the bottom of the pitchfork is. About, 24.42, 24.40. I will be looking for that SFP long. But once again, guys, if and only if we pierce the level, bounce from the midline, reclaim that level. Upon the reclaim, you can enter long. And then I would be looking ultimately to take it up to the upper band. Stop would go below that low. And then, but of course, my first TP would be within this range. If we turn that range back on, it would be back testing the value area low or the point of control. And we'll see once we get there how those have shifted. That's what I'm looking at for say. Let's go into XRP. Now, guys, on XRP, let me turn off some of these levels. On XRP, we have been waiting for what seems like an eternity to come up to our naked monthly point of control. Let me turn the naked monthlies on. We had front run, and I talked about this in many streams on the Discord, but we had front run 1, 2, 3 times our naked monthly point of control. And we had been holding our macro value area low of our range that is 7-8 months long at 207. You can see this macro value area low coming in around 206 here. This macro value area low held. We back tested it, flipped it to support. We've been working on coming up to grab the liquidity into that naked monthly point of control at 234. I feel like I've been talking about this in the Discord streams for weeks and expecting a move up to come up to take that liquidity, see the SFP, the original front run of that naked monthly point of control into the top of our descending channel. And if we do get the SFP into the naked monthly point of control, I would be looking for a short, and I am short from the SFP of the naked monthly point of control. You could see we did re-enter back within the volume profile of our smaller range, and I am looking, you can see my first green box of support is going to be this. Let's go ahead and zoom in here a bit on the 1 hour chart. If we take a Fibonacci pull from the last lows to our highs, you can see our golden pocket here is going to be coming in. And we also have a daily level there and a naked daily point of control. So if we turn on, let me turn off that naked monthly, naked daily points of controls. Was it a naked weekly? Naked weekly point of control, excuse me. And a daily level. So we have our golden pocket, daily, naked, weekly point of control between 222 and 221. That'll be the first level of support where you can TP from the short and look for a potential scalp long opportunity. And then the next level that ultimately I would be looking at, let's go zoom out onto the 4 hour chart. And if we look at, let me turn off our dailies and our naked weeklies. If we do see a bigger drop, losing this smaller range point of control, which is about 218, and we do have a liquidity grab into that POC. But if we lose that, I would ultimately be expecting a rotation back down to the macro value area low, where if we do a Fibonacci pull from the lows on the daily time frame to our highs that we just made over the weekend. Our macro golden pocket retracement is going to be coming in at the value area low of our macro range at 206. And you can see it's a nice liquidity grab into that, sweeping all of this liquidity that has been building, this rising wedge that has been building here. If we break it to the downside, I do expect a sweep of all of it. Maybe some small bounces along the way, but I ultimately expect to move down to 206. We did get the SFP we've finally been waiting for weeks into our naked monthly point of control, into the top of the channel. The last time we hit into the top of the channel and rejected was near the value area high into the top of the channel, and we got a rotation all the way back down to the value area low. Hit into the top of the channel, do we get another rotation down to value area low? Okay, that's it for XRP. And then lastly, we'll go into Chainlink. Guys, Chainlink, we've been looking at just two levels, really. We've been looking at our local resistance above us between 14.1 and 14.3, really 14 to 14.2. And then our support level, which still hasn't been hit yet, between 12 and 11.8. And you can see finally, after ranging for a few weeks within this smaller sideways range, we kept finding resistance at the value area high and then dropping back down to value area low. So very simple range trading. Reject value area high, come down to value area low. Bounce from value area low, come up to value area high. Swing liquidity grab your prior highs here. Rotate back down to value area low. Liquidity grab your prior lows, or almost double bottom your prior lows. Move back up to value area high, but finally hitting into our resistance that we've been looking at. Oops. Hitting into our resistance being the anchored VWAP, because the anchored VWAP was holding as support. Once we lost it, we back tested it. Now a higher time frame back test, just like we're seeing with Solana. And now we are back with inside the volume profile. You can see rejected our box of resistance. Let's see, there was a few levels here. If we look at I believe it, yeah, liquidity grab here into the anchored VWAP, and it was also our golden pocket pull here. So golden pocket, anchored VWAP, and I believe it is the point of control of our bigger range on the daily here. Well, now it's shifted, but as we were looking here, point of control, golden pocket, anchored VWAP, and it was the point of control of our much, much larger range that goes back to November of 2023. So rejected that area, and now we are starting to roll over. Money flow on the daily looks pretty bearish here. Looks like we could continue dropping to the downside, ultimately coming to our box of support, which is between 12 and 11.8. And that is going to be our macro value area low in confluence with our macro golden pockets of this big last daily move to the upside. Let's zoom in on that. Yeah, golden pocket value area low. We do have a weekly just below that. Okay, no dailies. Now, I would like to say we do have a fresh naked monthly point of control that just printed, and that is going to be just below our lows of our micro range that we've been in for the last 2 weeks. So at 12.63, there is a potential that we could grab the liquidity of these internal lows and bounce from our naked monthly point of control. Let's actually look at our 0.5. Okay, it's below that. Okay, unfortunately, there's not too much in confluence with that naked monthly point of control, but those are strong levels. Naked weeklies, nothing there. Naked dailies, nothing really there. Okay. So yeah, I would say between 12 and 11.8 is our next level of support. We more locally, we do have the value area low of our range coming in at 12.8, and below that at 12.6 is our 12.67 is our naked monthly point of control. So that we could bounce from this general area, value area low to naked monthly point of control, but primarily I would be looking at the naked monthly point of control and sweeping these double lows, these dual lows here. You can see we have dual lows. So the SFP of these dual lows into your naked monthly would be a good opportunity to look for a long if you actually SFP. So once again, guys, with an SFP, coming down, piercing level, bouncing from support, and once you reclaim that level, look for the long, bring it up back up to value area high, to the highs of the range again. Okay, guys, that's it for the video today, the updates today. I hope this video helped. If you got anything out of this video, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you tomorrow.